24 including me. There should be about 25, so 2 more people are still not with us, I think. Okay. Anyway, for today we're going to do some mongoDB installation. Okay, installation, and then we'll try to do at the end of the installation we can actually do some exercises. All right, let me just try this, because yesterday I tried it with group A. It didn't work. Okay, so let me give it another try here. Oh, by the way, please fill up your attendance, okay, at the channel for group B. There's supposed to be a form called attendance there. Can you find it?
Yes, ada dekat dalam group B.
Yes, ada.
Yes, ada.
Edit attendance.
So please fill that up, because the faculty needs that.
MongoDB either independently or with our other MongoDB University courses. Let's start with Atlas. MongoDB Atlas is a platform that provides an interface to manage and deploy MongoDB across cloud providers and regions. It was built to launch and manage your deployments for you, which simplifies the operational overhead of running a deployment. This type of offering is called Database as a Service. What that means is that Atlas helps you easily set up and manage your database from your Atlas account on the web. There are multiple tiers of Atlas subscriptions, and for this course, we will be using the free tier subscription to set up a database, view, and modify data. The free tier allows you to experiment with the platform at no cost to you. We will cover Atlas in more detail later in this chapter. Another tool that will be heavily used in this course is called Compass. Compass provides a graphical user interface that allows you to explore the data in your database. It is a great tool to get a quick view of the shape and state of your data, as well as test out MongoDB features as you are learning about the database and its functionality. You can use Compass to optimize query performance and manage indexes, among other things. The interface that you will see on your machine may differ from the one that you see in later lectures. There has been a number of updates to Compass since those lessons were recorded, but all the labs have been updated accordingly. Finally, we will be using the Mongo shell, which is an interactive JavaScript interface to MongoDB. You do not need to know JavaScript to proceed with this course. Here, you will learn how to connect to your Atlas instance, query and update data using the Mongo shell, as well as import a dataset into your own Atlas cluster. This is the third and last tool that we will use to interact with your database. The Mongo shell is great for playing around with all the features that the database has to offer and really learning about MongoDB query language and functionality. The following lectures and labs in this chapter will walk you through installing all 3 tools that are required to complete this course. Please keep in mind that some of the lectures may have an outdated Compass or Atlas interface or show fewer datasets in the database. This will not impede your ability to complete the course, since the labs have been updated accordingly and the tools still have the functionality that you will be learning about. Finally, please check the lecture notes that are located under the videos as you are going through the course material.
All right. So any questions? Hello?
I think no, Doctor.
Okay, so how many tools are there for MongoDB? 3. What are they? was listening? They are actually Atlas. Hello, anybody there? Or am I talking to myself?
Atlas, Compass, and Shell. They are answering in chat. Okay.
Chat. Okay, let's see. Where's the chat?
Here you can click on Teams.
Where? Activity is it?
Below chat. Button below chat. No, activity Teams.
Or the Teams?
I click on that. And get there.
Here it is it? Atlas, Compass, and Shell, correct. Okay. So what is needed for this class is for you to know more on Shell. Okay, but the other two, if let's say you have problem installing Shell, you can actually just simply use Compass or Atlas, okay, because it is based on a cloud. So that is an alternative for you, because you would need that for your test. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one, which is a PDF. Oh, that's really small. Okay. All right. So for this one, okay, I need you to go through this based on whether you have Windows or you have Linux or OS or CX or something like that, or Mac. Okay. So if you can see here, under the files, you can either install it on Windows or install it on Windows. Oh yeah, here it is. Or you can actually install it on Linux OS X. Okay, so it depends. So this one you have to do it on your own, hands-on, and mind you, the test is going to be a take-home test. It's individual, all right. And then for the group work, you have to work together and come up with a video presentation. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so that is lesson number 2, and for lesson number 3 is if let's say you want to install it on Linux or OS X. Okay, right. Let's go on. Okay, this one is another video, okay, talking about Atlas. So it's good that you know this, just in case that you know your shell doesn't work, you can actually use the Atlas.
In this lesson, we'll talk about Atlas. You'll learn what Atlas is, what it's used for, and take a look at the Atlas interface. Atlas is MongoDB's database as a service solution. It provides functionality to set up your database in the cloud without needing to configure the fine details yourself manually using the shell. Atlas also handles replication, which means your database maintains redundant copies of data to increase availability. Let's talk a little bit about how Atlas works. Atlas users can deploy clusters, which are groups of servers that store your data. These servers are configured in what we call a replica set, which is a cluster where each server stores the same data. This means that each time you insert or update a document, redundant copies are stored within the set. Using a replica set ensures that if you lose access to a server in your cluster, you're not going to lose your data. All of the servers in your cluster exist in the cloud on the cloud service provider of your choice. So why should we use Atlas? One main reason is the simplicity of setup. Atlas manages the details of creating clusters for you, which simplifies the operational overhead of running a deployment. The Atlas interface makes it easier to manage and deploy MongoDB across cloud providers and regions. Atlas is also a great way to experiment with new MongoDB tools and features. In this course, you'll connect to an existing Atlas cluster and query its data. You'll also create your own Atlas cluster and practice inserting and updating documents in your database. You'll learn how to connect to Atlas outside the Atlas interface using Compass, which is a graphical user interface for MongoDB, and the Mongo shell. Atlas has different pricing levels depending upon the size and usage of your database. In this course, we'll be using the Atlas free tier, which allows you to deploy a free cluster. A free tier cluster is a 3-server replica set with 512 megabytes of storage. Free tier clusters never expire. Under the free tier, you'll have access to a subset of Atlas features, like charts and stitch, which we'll discuss later in this lesson. If you're learning how to use MongoDB or creating a small-scale application, the free tier is a great option for storing your data. Now that we know what Atlas is, let's take a look at the Atlas interface. Note that the interface might be a little different in other lessons, but the features we'll talk about should be the same. The main Atlas page shows all of your clusters. We can take a look at the data in our cluster using the Data Explorer by clicking the Collections button. Here, we can see all of the documents within our databases and search for specific documents. We'll learn more about how to filter our data in the next chapter. Atlas also integrates with several MongoDB services. These features are beyond the scope of this course, but you can explore them as you learn more about MongoDB. You can use the Atlas interface to connect your cluster with MongoDB Stitch. Stitch is a serverless platform that makes it easier to use MongoDB in your web and mobile applications. The Charts feature allows you to create visual representations of your data. Atlas also allows you to configure users with different privilege levels in your database. This is important because as your database grows larger, you'll want to control the data users can access. Let's recap what we learned in this lesson. We defined Atlas as a database as a service that helps you deploy and manage MongoDB clusters. We learned about how Atlas stores data in the cloud in replica sets to increase availability, and we looked at some of Atlas's features, like the Data Explorer, which we'll use in this course, and Stitch and Charts, which are beyond the scope of this course.
Okay, are you people still with me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, so that's about Atlas. Okay, so let's have a look at Compass, because Compass is the... Okay. Okay, so here's Compass. Okay, if let's say you can't get the Mongo shell to work, you can always use Compass. Okay, and it will connect to Atlas. All right. But I myself basically prefer using Mongo shell, because then you don't have to have an internet connection. Okay, but of course it depends on you where you are. Yeah. Let's see. So you can get more information on Compass in lesson number 5, and here is a companion material. Okay, for lessons. Okay, this is on MongoDB shell. Right, it's good that you know how to configure that. Okay, let's have a look at this video.
Because Compass does not yet fully support the MongoDB query language, we'll need to use a text-based client for part of the material in this chapter. Before we dive into the query language in detail, I'd like to get you set up with the Mongo shell. The Mongo shell is an interactive JavaScript client that connects to a MongoDB deployment. It's designed for performing administrative operations and manually running queries. You can even run programs written in JavaScript to perform more complex operations. To use the Mongo shell, we're going to need to download it. Fortunately, Atlas provides us with a convenient means of getting access to the Mongo shell. If we click back to our Clusters tab, and then click the Connect button, we'll see a modal that outlines a number of ways of connecting to Atlas. If we scroll down a little bit, we'll see instructions for connecting to Atlas with the Mongo shell. we also have an opportunity to download the shell. First, we need to select our operating system. Please make sure that you select the operating system that is correct for your environment. I'm on Mac, so I'm going to select OS X. And then I'm going to download the shell. Now the shell was downloaded to my downloads directory. I moved it to my home directory on this computer. I unzipped the download and expanded it. And here we can see that in this download, there's a bin directory. The bin directory is the Mongo executable. This is the Mongo shell. To use the Mongo shell, you'll need to open a command line interface on your computer. Now, if you're on Windows, I recommend you check out the video tutorial linked below in the lecture notes. If you're on a Mac, use the terminal application or whatever your favorite CLI is. If you're on Linux, well, I'm pretty sure you know what to do. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to use the terminal app. First, we need to change directory to where we downloaded the Mongo shell. So I'm going to change to my home directory. I can do that by simply typing cd. And now, I'll cd into the download directory. And then again, into the bin subdirectory. And there it is, the Mongo shell. In its simplest form, we can invoke the Mongo shell by typing simply Mongo. However, this will attempt to connect to a MongoDB server running on the local host. Rather than do that, I'd like the Atlas cluster for this class, the one that we've all been using together. I'll show you how to do that here, but please see the lecture notes for the exact connection string and other parameters you should pass to Mongo in order to connect to our Atlas cluster. We might need to change this information from time to time as we make updates. The lecture notes will be updated as well so that you have the necessary details to connect to this cluster from the Mongo shell. I'll paste those details here, and then let's talk about this command a little bit. I want to point out a couple of things here. The first is that because we're connecting to a cluster, we want to give the Mongo shell the name of all the servers in this cluster. Those are listed here to your data. It does this by enabling you to maintain redundant copies of your data in a cluster called a replica set. We configured our Atlas cluster to be a 3-server replica set in order to help ensure you will always have access to the data. There are thousands of students taking this class. In the event that the primary server goes down due to a software or hardware failure, one of the other servers will step in to continue serving data to clients. If you'd like to know more about how replica sets work, please see the MongoDB documentation. One other thing I'd like to point out about this command is that at the very end here, we can see the word test immediately following this slash. That indicates that we're going to connect to this cluster, and we're going to connect to a database called test. Now, if we would prefer to connect to a different database, we can change this to one of the databases we know is available in our Atlas cluster. Let's do the 100-year weather database. And if you'll remember, that database has a collection in it called data, where all of the weather readings are found. Finally, the last thing I'd like to point out about this command is the fact that we're making a secure connection to this cluster. As we did when connecting with Compass, we're using an encrypted connection via SSL. It's applying the same username and password we did to connect with Compass. So let's go ahead and connect to our Atlas cluster with the Mongo shell. We'll see a prompt that indicates that we're connected to the primary for this cluster. The shell will always connect to the primary for a cluster as specified here, because it's the primary to which most reads are typically directed, and to which all writes for a MongoDB cluster must be directed. Only primaries in a cluster can accept writes, and for any cluster there is one and only one primary. Now remember, we connected to the 100-year weather database. If we type show collections, sure enough, we see the data collection because we have connected to this particular database. If instead we'd prefer to access the video collection, we can use the use command and use video. And then if we show collections here, we'll see our movies collection. Now I'm going to show you just one more command, and that is just so we can see the documents that are in this movies collection. Okay, and here these should look familiar to you, given that we've already looked at a lot of this data in Compass.
Okay, any questions? Was that easy? Hello, anybody still with me?
It's a bit fast for me.
The video hang.
Oh, really?
It's a bit laggy.
Yeah, it's kind of laggy.
Oh, okay. Anyway, all of these videos and files, I've put it under Microsoft Teams. Okay, that's under the files. So you can actually go through it, okay, on your own at the parts that you didn't catch just now. Okay? And then, right? And then at the final lesson would be the mongoDB query, okay? Where once you have your Mongo shell installed, you can start trying these query languages and see how you can actually create users and then create a new document in a collection, okay, and do some updates. So for the test, okay, we are expected to be able to know the basics of this query language, all right, the basics, the CRUD, okay, and then try it, and meaning that it is a take-home test, so there'll be like a case given to you, and you have to create and do a CRUD on mongoDB. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Right, so you don't really have to memorize all of this because it's a take-home test. You can have this in front of you. Okay. Oh yes, kuat. So it means that you can do a trial and error, okay, and learn at your pace lah. But there will be a time period given, like for example, maybe 3 days. You have to finish it off, okay, and submit to my email, and to my email. All right. It should be. It is an individual test. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Doctor, is the email the Microsoft email ke?
No, the Gmail, my Gmail.
Oh, your Gmail. Okay.
University punya Gmail. Nanti you bagi email, nanti saya akan letak, like for example sendirilah. Okay. Hello.
Google link maksudnya?
Because it's a take-home test, tak boleh lah letak beramai-ramai kan. I mean, you cannot share a Google link. So you will have to email me the Google link of your test.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then the finals will also be an offline. Okay, it's an open book finals. All right, because you will be doing it at your own home. How comfortable or conducive your home will be for you to take the test as well as the finals. Do you have like little siblings that's going to kacau you or something? Okay, so if we have all those challenges, you need to inform me early. Or if you are taking care of somebody, your family member who's not well, so you have to inform me on that. Okay?
Alright.
Alright.
Okay. Okay, so I have a quiz for you to answer, okay, to complete. So this quiz went up to next Monday to complete. So you can find the quiz at the assignments tab here, right? Okay, so I'll turn this on. I'll create a quiz here. Okay. MongoDB quiz. Next. Okay. So I'll give you up to Sunday. Sorry, Sunday pula. Monday, 20th. Okay, cukup masa
Cukup.
Okay. So up to 11:59 PM. So pukul 12 tu you'll turn into a pumpkin lah kot. Okay. So please go through that. Okay. And complete the quiz, as well as sign the attendance for today. And I'll see you again next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. We'll try to be on MS Teams and see how. So far so good, right? Anybody having any problem with your connection?
No.
Okay, if you do have any problem with your connection, please WhatsApp me, because maybe the person is not here because having some problems. And then I need you to refresh on the assignment to see if the assignment, you can actually see the assignment, because group A is having problems. Some of them are having problems to access the assignment. Okay, so please do a continuous refresh until you can see the assignment. The quiz. I mean the quiz and and if you cannot, please inform me as soon as possible. Okay, everyone?
Okay.
Alright.
So if you have any problem, you please highlight to me. Don't suffer in silence, because you really need to graduate this semester, COVID or no COVID. Please WhatsApp me. So can I end this session for today?
Yes.
Yes.
Ada, nak tanya.
Okay. Ada nak tanya ke? Tak ada.
Nak tanya, dengar ke? Yang tadi kan, yang Google Link tu, kita upload dekat Google Drive ke macam mana?
Yang untuk test ke? You upload dekat Google Drive. Lepas tu the link tu you bagi dekat saya.
Okay.
Okay. So
lagi, Doktor. Okay.
Ya, apa ni?
Sila sambung, Doktor.
Test tu, individual test tu 30% tau.
Okay.
Jadi 30%. Lepas tu video presentation you tu jadi 30%. So 60% continuous assignment. And then for finals is 40%. So, okay, sebab test tu terpaksa combined with lab test yang 10% tu. Sebab universiti tak nak you kena ambil assessment banyak-banyak sangat. So we have to reduce the number of assignments to only 3. Tapi dia punya percentage dia kena dibesarkan lah, sebab dia jadi sikit kan. Okay.
Satu lagi, Doktor. Test ni dijangkanya bila kan?
Itulah kita cuba habis.
Okay. Miss.
Okay. Ada apa lagi soalan ataupun issues yang nak dibangkitkan?
Tadi yang video presentation tu berapa persen, Doktor?
Video presentation tu is 30%.